Hey, thanks for joining us again. It's Patrick and BJ. We're here talking about life, the universe, and everything on Vancouver Island, especially as it relates to real estate. Our last broadcast, we talked about some issues that are being addressed or talked about with regards to the election that is right upon us here. And so if you want to check those out, please go back and have a look at, we talked about a few different things. We're going to continue on with that today. And so I'm going to turn it over to Patrick and let's go.
Okay, so the candidates, there's 37 candidates running for, I think there's 8 positions at City Hall in Victoria, with one incumbent that's rerunning, and that's Ben Isett. So great. The City of Victoria has been reviewing a missing middle housing initiative, and they've postponed that. They've shelved that for some more advice. So by the time we get a new set of councillors, they're going to be revisiting this at some point when they come back. So this is what the middle housing initiative is. So this will allow a single family home zoned for just a single family home residence to allow for a houseplex of some kind. That could be turned into a duplex, a fourplex, fiveplex, or possibly a townhouse. So there's no specific details on that yet, but it's basically wants to fill in the gap between condos and single family homes, allowing for families to have more options to stay in Victoria, and of course adding more supply to Victoria's market housing, which could also be used as a rental house, with the idea that it's going to bring prices down possibly.
Okay.
So this would mean a blanket rezoning or an expedited process if somebody with a single family house wants to say, hey, I love this idea, I'm going to turn my house into a duplex and I'm going to build on to my house, and I'm going to be able to rent that out to whoever, or turn one property into, depending on how big it is or how doable it is, to a fourplex or fiveplex or something like that.
Sure.
So there's a lot to that, to think all of a sudden like a single family home neighborhood might all of a sudden have several duplexes added to it, or several fourplexes added to it. So that's the idea.
Right.
What do you think?
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I think, like you said, it's something that I don't think there can just be a yes, everybody gets a green light, a check mark that applies. I think there's still got to be due process. I think there's still got to be, verification in terms of what's reasonable on the property, what's reasonable with the current, building footprint, and all of the things that go into it that way. I don't think you can just say, yes, everybody's going to get it. But on the flip side of it is, I don't think that, we need to take a year or 2 years to get an approval on something like that. If we want, the idea makes sense if it makes sense for the community and the neighborhood and the area. I think there's a bigger picture to it all than just, this is an easy way to increase housing, because you're also going to increase density. You're going to, there's traffic, there's all these things that have to be kind of considered, I think, in terms of the picture. There's not just a yes or no, big broad brush strokes, and it works for everybody, right?
Yes, absolutely. Between the candidates and the councillors that are coming out of office, a lot of the conversations were still to focus development in the medium and high density areas already, where it's already that's already fits the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So this kind of explores the idea to go into low density areas,
right, and
I guess change the face of those.
Sure.
Maybe that only happens over time. Maybe not everybody jumps on board.
Yeah.
But let's say in the next 10 years, if that was approved, well, that could probably change the way a neighborhood looks.
Sure.
What people might not be used to anymore.
Sure. But I think, so here would be my question: what if you're my neighbor, and now suddenly you're going to put 2 more you're going to put a triplex on your property. You've got a big lot. You're going to put a triplex right in next to my house. How do I feel about that?
Well, yeah, if we think about it in realistic terms, that's going to add, let's say it's 2 people per unit.
Yeah.
I live in one already, and there's 2 cars in front.
Right.
And now we're going to squeeze 3 houses onto one property, basically. Now we've got 6 cars.
Right.
Is there enough room for all of that?
Yeah.
Is that kind of approval going to be done without parking to encourage, because Victoria is a progressive city when it comes to biking?
Yeah.
Will we have enough spaces for people that do have all those cars? For
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's to me, anything that moves faster is good in terms of the process, but not at the expense of, just I don't know if we want to say the common good, or maybe just the expense of common sense. How's that?
Right, we don't want to be going top speed in a direction and then go over a cliff. Right, we don't want to make this worse than all these unintended consequences.
Right.
Do you think there would be any unintended consequences? I understand growing pains, changes.
Yeah.
But do you think there's anything that we might have to face if that was approved?
I think, to me, the biggest thing we'd have to address, or would have to be addressed, is, again, infrastructure and density. We've already got traffic issues in the greater Victoria area because of infrastructure, because of the roads. So now you take a neighborhood that's essentially single-family residential homes, and let's double or even take 50%. Let's put 50% more traffic in that neighborhood.
Right. So inadvertently, we're looking at increasing population, increasing traffic. Policing will have to be increased. We already have a shortage of family doctors. These are all Victoria's problems, but I think it's like we're trying to fix one thing where there's a multitude of problems at the same time that maybe haven't been fixed yet.
Or they're trying to address what they can. Deal with what you can, where you can, and then try, step 2 or step 3 or whatever. But I think, on paper it's a good idea, but it's not something I think you can do without making sure there's proper checks and balances in place.
Perfect. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah.
And it's kind of along the same ideas. Many candidates are championing a speedier approval process to add more supply of market housing, rental housing, and social housing on all, basically all spectrums of housing in Victoria.
Sure.
But then we just talked about all of these other services are going to be under pressure when that happens at the same time.
Sure. But I think the thing is, if you can, like I said before, I'm all for, let me say it this way, I'm all for what we can responsibly do more efficiently. How's that? So it's not throw the baby out with the bathwater kind of thing, that everybody gets a green light and now there's going to be corners cut on approvals and projects that haven't been properly vetted or something hasn't been properly set up, right?
Right, faster approvals, but not lightning quick, not just automated approvals.
Yeah, there it is. That's the word. Not automated approvals. There still has to be a process and, to make sure everything gets done. But certainly, I think you can ask any builder and they would tell you that there is a lot of process right now.
Okay, so this is perfect when we want to increase the approval of building permits and projects. I'm going to add this in. Where does that leave community input groups? Because a lot of the times, historically, we've seen community input groups ask for a lot of things that end up delaying or delaying so long that that property might get sold to someone else before eventually somebody gets it to approval stage. Sure. And this is not it's not pointing anybody out. But where does that leave the community group for input if we want to expedite things?
Well, I think wouldn't you say that you can still you can have that input, but maybe it's in a narrower window of time. I'm not sure how long it takes right now, but we've all seen the signs for proposed changes in a neighborhood where They're going to have the community meetings and all of these things, and those are necessary. You know, if you're going to come and change my neighborhood, I'd like to at least have some input into what's being done here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wouldn't you say? You know, that's kind of my thought on it. What do you think?
I think the public hearing process is the perfect place to voice concerns, and I think this is probably going to a public hearing. If you go to one and it's about a project that's right in your neighborhood, go to. I've done dozens of them, and you hear the same feedback to the counselors every single time. Not every single time, but if the counselors keep hearing a problem, it starts to come up on a level of importance to them. So even if you don't win that time, oh, this is a safety concern, we need this, or that we need more recreation, or we need more green space, you know, you keep repeating those concerns to the city councilors, right, to the mayor, and then you watch amenity funds being distributed in ways where I guess it's like, you know, whoever's the loudest, who's the squeakiest will get the grease.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. No, it makes sense to me. Hey, well, thanks for watching again. I know we feel like we've hardly kind of scratched the surface here, but we've already used up all of our time today. So thank you all for watching again. Like and subscribe. That would be great. Helps us to, you know, keep getting things out there and talk about issues and things that are just happening around here. We, you know, we're putting content out regularly, so watch for us to be back with some new content.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching, and of course, if you need any help with real estate, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to help you with anything on Victoria and Vancouver Island.
Peace out.